So what would it look like if we had an election every month since 2015? Well, this website sort of lets you do that. So I've taken an average of the polling data for each month since 2015, and if you put them into these little tables here, then it will automatically work out which seats are going to change blue and red based on the 2015 data. I'll post a link to this website below. So in June 2015, HSB announces plans to cut jobs. George Osborne sells off its stake in the Royal Bank of Scotland. There are protests in London, Bristol and Manchester over austerity, and the Dalai Lama goes to Glastonbury. So this is the picture for that month. As you can see, the Conservatives would have gained a seat, Labour would have lost 3 seats, the Lib Dems would have gained 2 seats, and the SNP would have lost 1, so there would have been an extra Tory seat in Scotland. In July 2015, the first Conservative budget by George Osborne, billions in welfare cuts, but also announces the national living wage. Tim Farron becomes leader of the Liberal Democrats, and the Eurotunnel migrant crisis worsens. Conservatives would have lost 13 seats, Labour would have gained 4, UKIP would have gained 2, Lib Dems would have gained 9, and the SNP would have lost 3. So, August 2015, Lambeth bans laughing gas, and an RAF plane crashes into vehicles on the A27 near Shoreham. Not a lot changes that month, except Conservative losing 1 seat. September 2015, David Cameron announces plans to resettle Syrian refugees. Jeremy Corbyn is elected the new Labour Party leader, and the Volkswagen emissions scandal takes place. And that Labour Jeremy Corbyn win gains Labour 11 seats and loses Conservatives 16 seats. So Labour gain mainly in this area here. October 2015, you have to pay 5p for using plastic bags in England. Labour are on 241 seats. Conservatives are on 320. November 2015, there is a terrorist attack in Paris. An SNP motion opposing Trident's renewal is defeated, cuts to tax credits, and vows to protect police budgets in response to the UK's heightened terror threat. Conservatives actually gained seats, 16 seats, to make it to 346. Labour would lose to 215. December 2015, MPs authorise UK strikes to Islamic State in Syria. Tim Peake goes into space. So in that month, Conservatives would have lost 19 seats, and Labour would have gained 10, Lib Dems would have gained 9, and the SNP would have lost 3. 2016, rail fares rise by 1%, Jeremy Corbyn reshuffles the Labour Party cabinet, unemployment rate falls to 5.1%, Conservatives only lose 5 seats, Labour gains 6 despite the infighting. So February 2016, junior doctors walk out in their second recent strike. Again, this is another month where not a lot changed apart from Conservatives gaining 2 seats, Labour losing 2. March 2016, MPs vote against abolishing God Save the Queen as the national anthem. Ian Duncan Smith resigns as Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, claiming that he came under pressure from the Treasury to salami slice welfare and voicing his objection to $4 billion of planned cuts to disability benefits announced in the budget. Labour would make big gains, 24 seats well, I say big gains, but relatively big gains compared to the rest of this map. So most of those gains are in these kind of seats in the north and Birmingham. And the Conservatives, polling-wise, lost 28 seats. A new national living wage comes into force. Prime Minister David Cameron and his wife Samantha admit that they own shares in an offshore trust. And the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn announces the launch of an inquiry into anti-Semitism. So despite all the Labour rails on anti-Semitism, Labour still gained a few seats from 2015. Yeah, they gained 11 seats in total. Conservatives still lose 19. Sadiq Khan is the Mayor of London. Bus drivers in Greater Manchester stage a one-day strike. As I found out from a history video, all these strikes and stuff help Labour, are actually more favourable to Labour than they are to the Conservatives, mainly because of history, because of Labour's record with dealing with these strikes and stuff, as opposed to the Conservatives, who seem to more kind of cause them because of austerity. Labour would have gained 17 seats, Conservatives lost 23. So June 2016, just over a year ago, MP Joe Cox dies, and then on the 23rd of June, nothing really interesting happens. David Cameron resigns. Several Labour Party shadow cabinet ministers quit. First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, warned she could persuade the Scottish Parliament to veto the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union. A motion of no confidence by Labour MPs in leader Jeremy Corbyn is passed. So in that month, despite all the turmoil that the Labour Party is going through, and despite the fact that they're still trailing behind Conservatives in the polls, they would still have gained 16 seats from 2015, and Conservatives would have lost 32. Now, don't forget, after the referendum, the Conservatives and Labour were both in turmoil. Both parties were looking for a new leader, and we had no Prime Minister at that moment. UKIP, after the vote, was very popular, and therefore it's reflected in this result. It would have gained 3 seats. The Lib Dems, strangely enough, would have gained 13, and the SNP would have lost 3. So July 2016, this is when everything starts going crazy. Nigel Farage resigns, Chilcot inquiry report comes out, Theresa May is announced as leader and Prime Minister, MPs vote to back the renewal of the UK's Trident nuclear weapons programme. So we have Angela Eagle and Owen Jones as opposition to Jeremy Corbyn. So after Labour had, 4 seats in the last map, you can see that all those seats are pretty much gone. And everything's more or less equalised to what it was in the 2015 election, now that the Conservatives are back in charge. August 2016, Bank of England cuts interest rates from 0.5 to 0.25. We have the Summer Olympics in Rio. 5-day strike by workers of Southern Rail begins. The last BHS stores are shut. And this month, these borderlands of Scotland suddenly turn Conservative, and the Conservatives actually gain 17 seats from 2015. Labour lose 18, probably because of the whole leadership battle that's going on. So September 2016, Theresa May announces proposals as part of a major educational reform for new grammar schools. Jeremy Corbyn is re-elected as the leader of the Labour Party. I found that there was a lot of disillusionment with the main parties in general, hence why the others category is so big, gaining 20 seats. I mean, that just could be an anomaly in my data, but that's what I found for polling in this month. So Labour on 233, Conservative on 299. So October 2016, Theresa May announces plans that she will trigger Article 50 by the end of March 2017. So in this month, I suddenly found that a lot of Cornwall and Wales suddenly went very blue. And the Conservatives actually gained 16 seats from 2015. November 2016, Paul Nuttall is elected UKIP leader. Conservative doing very well in England. Labour doing really poorly, for the first time below 200. December 2016, Lib Dem leader Tim Farron claims his party is back in big time after it fought on the issue of Brexit. There's an attack in Berlin, and there are prison riots. So again, there's another month where a lot of other anomalies came up. But that doesn't matter, because this is probably the worst month that I've seen yet for the SNP, and they've only lost, 6 seats. Now that's not really that much, to be honest. I mean, it looks like a lot in geographical form, and a lot of those seats go towards the Lib Dems and the Conservatives. January 2017. Rail fares increase again by an average of 2.3%. The British Red Cross describes the current situation in England's NHS as a humanitarian crisis. Labour do a little bit better, but they're still minus 20 seats down from 2015. February 2017. MPs backed the European Union bill by 498 votes to 114, with 47 Labour rebels voting against. The government publishes a white paper setting out its Brexit plans. What does that do to the polls? Well, Labour still trailing behind, 205 seats, with the Conservatives up from 2015 on 247 seats. March 2017, Philip Hammond delivers the March 2017 budget. So England suddenly becomes very blue. 36 seats from 2015. So if we'd have had an election here, Conservatives would have been 366 seats. And Labour would have been way down on 194 seats. April 2017. There was a late terrorist attack in March, and then there's a series of remembrance ceremonies. Theresa May announces plans for a snap general election. In this month, England goes even more blue. Labour, according to the polls, are on 189 seats right now. May 2017, this month, UKIP lose 145 seats they were defending in the local elections, and Labour is beaten into third place by the Conservatives in Scotland. The NHS is attacked. So with all of the polls for this month added together, you can actually see that the SNP lose out a lot significantly in this last month than they have in the rest of the time. So in the polls, the polls say that they're going to lose 8 seats. Now, I don't really expect it to be that high based on other polls throughout the rest of the year, but the latest polls from May expect the SNP to be around 48 seats, losing 8 seats. With Labour way down on 197, losing 35 seats from 2015, and the Conservatives up 36 seats with 366 seats. So that's the picture across Britain. What does that tell us? Well, it means that Labour can win their campaign if they focus it on austerity and cuts to public services. The Conservatives just have to focus on their core message of strong and stable governance. Now, recently, their message has been kind of lost in their manifesto as things like the dementia tax and fox hunting have come up. If that continues, then Labour could, dare I say it, they could win. As all of these polls have shown, Labour are still way behind, and towards the beginning of January, they were almost in oblivion. As for the SNP, they seem to be waning as well. The Lib Dems gain where Brexit is the issue, and UKIP lose out once that referendum has happened. Now, for UKIP to gain again, they would simply need a party to say, we're not going to have Brexit, and then they would probably gain again. That's for another election in the future. So I'm still expecting a mainly blue Britain, but I think Labour, depending on how this election will pan out, could gain a significant amount of seats and eat it into the Tory majority, even if not slightly overtake it, if austerity, cuts to public services and potential strikes play into the public's mind. Thanks for watching. Let me know your opinion in the comments below. As I said, the link for this website is in the description if you want to check it out. Fill it in yourself and join in the debate. Thank you, everyone.